All right, backs against the wall. Faker getting his Cassante in a very interesting draft here. We're seeing Kha'Zix's Cassante going to be very easy to itemize, although it's against Galio, who'd normally want to be magic resist. Instead, is going to be against double AD. So probably going for an early plated steel caps, but we'll see what else comes from that. They may opt to just go into the Everfrost and Sork Shoes build. But we have this team comp that is largely attack dependent, right? So we've got Jax, Kha'Zix, Cassante, and Zaya, right? Doesn't one Frozen Heart throw this team into a bit of a problem? Does that mean that we're going to see Rod of Ages into Frozen Heart from Yagao? It seems like it would be very, very strong, right? Rod of Ages get big enough, you're still capable offensively, but able to get Frozen Heart for yourself so that you get literally the perfect item in this game against these champions. And also you'll get the mana synergy from Rod of Ages. So I expect to see Yagao go there. We do have the Zeri Lulu from BLG to face off against Zaya Rakan. This should be Zaya Rakan favored. They get to choose what to do with these waves. They may try to do it like they did in game one, which was, hey, we're just going to seed level 1, let them push into us because Kha'Zix is pathing away from bot lane and towards top, but that didn't work out so well in game one. Really nothing going for them in this top lane. Now they end up swapping lanes to get Galio into Jax and Gwen into Cassante. This is very favored for the Gwen, but very bad for the Galio, so they're opting for this trade like this. Now, Elk and On using heal early, going for big bursts. This is how you can take it to Zaya Rakan. As the W lingers and as it falls off from Zaya Rakan, you can continue to win the rest of the trade, and they do. Normally, you like to see level 3 from Zaya Rakan to really flex the advantage of this kit. One, you can go in for a short trade, but then you got to get on out. Oh, good job by Yagao. Beautifully done. E steps you back, so if Zeus tries to react with Counter-Strike, it won't. And then when you connect, it gives a little bit of a knockback, and then you get to jump out for yourself. That is counterable. Zeus can activate the E on the recoil, but a very, very short time frame for that. Talking about an eighth of a second to be able to get that window in and get that Counter-Strike stun off. Maybe even less because of the hitboxes. But here we go. Kindred showing the early game potency that they can have. And Kha'Zix's really going to take some time to get online. Thinks that it's safe to walk back to lane. Doesn't go all the way to the south side. Normally when you want to reconvene with your team, you want to hug this bottom side because it'll keep you out of vision of the bushes. Now, Kha'Zix perhaps knowing or perhaps not knowing that this ward was down. I think he must have seen it go down, but is hovering as if he didn't. So maybe the camera just wasn't there. His presence will be enough to dissuade any kind of push, but T1 will be happy saying, all right, that's fine. We'll get the push in. We've got position for this wave. We'll be able to take it. Kindred is also back on the map without the Kha'Zix to pressure. So a very good start here for BLG. Basically getting the advantage in the jungle, in the bot lane, and they have it just de facto in mid. Oh, beautifully done by Bin. Did you see that usage dashing to the edge of the Shadow Realm so that you couldn't actually connect with Q3? It doesn't actually matter if you're right next to Gwen unless you're inside the pit. And by dashing to the edge there, showing that there's an actual window to get even more done against Cassante. And I bet my guess is that Bin has at least 10 times more experience in this matchup than Faker does. Even though Faker dutifully puts in 100 games on new champions. He wants to learn their ins and outs. He wants to know everything about them, what they might be good or bad against. He's done it against everything, and occasionally you see him pick up some off-meta picks and kind of put them to use, and he was really the first person to play Cassante mid and show just how strong it was. Everyone at first thought it was just because Cassante was busted, but it turns out that everyone in the world is now playing Cassante into mages and being very, very happy about it. But this Gwen pick was meant to destroy the Cassante, and so they're swapping out over. We'll see if we end up getting some back and forth sliding from the solo laners. I expect probably not, because you want Jax in those side lanes. Cassante is much more useful in these fights if they do come up. Ooh, big aggression here from T1 Carry. A little bit of an overstep from On, and he steps to his death. That is not the kind of trade you want. You want to make sure that you survive past the W activation of Zaya. Once that's gone, once the burst and the threat of the feathers drawing back is gone, then you can win the trade. But right now, this is the most dangerous part of the game, level 3, 4, 5, where Zaya Rakan are just king and queen of the lane. That's true against basically everybody, too, even to the point of Lucian Nami. Lucian Nami will be stronger right at level 3, but then they wait until level 6 where they're even stronger. Zaya Rakan having a lot of setup and anti-setup, disengage from the ultimates and engage. Not really tools for just dealing damage. That's why Lucian Nami can be favored right there, because Tidal Wave and Culling are so strong in the 2v2. But here, can T1 flex this lead into anything? His owner can even try for this. He's going to go for the flash. It doesn't even need to use his flash. Uses Blast Cone to jump over, gets the smite. It was at 612, and he waited for that animation of the tick. Tick goes down. That's enough to get the smite for himself. And the jump out doesn't even need to use flash. Surprised that BLG was not willing to try to punish that. All right, you're in that play. You know that there could be a Kha'Zix jumping over a wall. Probably should have positioned in a way that could have allowed them to step forward. Kindred not having access to ultimate, which is another trick you can use to basically get the Kha'Zix killed in that spot, where you use the Kindred ultimate to keep the dragon alive. Another engage from T1, and they're going to run this game over from bot lane. Elk is not going to have the resources, is spending too much time in a 1v2 situation, even though they're up 10 CS right now, and they're going to get more because of this. The fact that they have so much time alone, unless they can parlay the extra time alone into a level advantage, which is what he has right now, let's be fair, right? About 80% of a level. But this little thing by BLG, right? Oh man, that thing never even showed a digit under 600. That's kind of incredible. BLG, multiple things you could have done to take that fight better. You could have stepped forward, could have pulled the dragon back out. You could have taken time to kill the control ward. Zeri kills it in 2 hits, right? QA, boom, done. Lulu can do it while she has the help picks onto Zeri so that they're not missing any damage over time. A lot of options they could have had to make sure that doesn't go 50-50. They are still winning. They're in a good spot for themselves, but the fact that Zaya has managed to wrangle 2 kills for herself, the fact that Owner was able to steal that, two slip-ups, giving them back that advantage, means T1's not just throttled out of this game. Now, scaling-wise, they can have a very nice fight composition with Kha'Zix getting scaling, Jax getting big, Cassante, obviously, and Zaya Rakan, right? Everything about this team is going to scream a nice, strong, steady presence moving forward in the fights. A lot of ability to withstand damage as you press up, which can be very good into this Kindred. And, it won't be the first time, won't be the last time that I talk about this Kindred-Galio combination as just being unnecessarily hard to execute. We'll see if they continue to play it like they did before, though, which is, Galio and Kindred need to continue pressing forward. There we go. Kindred ultimate into Galio, but again, the arrival way too early, right? So this is an example. Yes, you got the situation you kind of wanted, but it was so early that the knockup overlapped with the Lambs or Spite still being up, which means that T1's still going to win this fight. Elk is going to walk into Faker right here. Flashes away from him. Is this kiting going to be enough? With red buff, it might be. Flash into forward. Carrier's going to step up. We're going to int for one more W. No, gets it with the Q. Elk trying their damnedest, and my goodness, was it fun to watch them kite around that fight. Showing just an absolute mastery of Zeri, but the play itself, just too weak. All right, we'll look into here, right? Zuns can use his ultimate, going to dash forward, and then use Lambs for Spite. And then the ult, you have to do another full second. You have to do the full 1 Mississippi ult, right? Because what you want to do is arrive right as the Lambs for Spite is falling away. Instead, they arrive, nothing doing, nothing comes of it. They don't get any meaningful knockups. It's just like, okay, sweet, we'll just tank this and then heal right back up. Nothing to come of it, and T1 ends up taking the rest of the fight. Ooh, interesting. Kyria going for a slight little knock up there. Zun trying to get the maximum, but the aggression is coming. Kha'Zix not quite able to get the empowered Q off. Now Lulu, weakest part in the game right now, level 4, having died twice. Zeri has gotten huge because of it, and fed away a shutdown, still has a shutdown, even though they just died, being 2-1-1. And you're going to see this call come online, and she's going to be a problem. But this is so unlucky. Like, you're losing bot lane. Yeah, you're a little bit ahead. You've got a little bit of an extra level. You got the kill for yourself in bot lane. All of this came from that early presence of showing up down bottom, kind of playing that Kha'Zix versus Kindred matchup where Kindred got the huge chunk on the rotation. Zeri hasn't done anything like spectacularly to award themselves a shutdown. All right, there it goes. It finally goes down. Xayah keeps hers. But then again, like, it's still weird. Xayah's down 16 CS. Zeri's up a full level on Xayah, and Xayah's the one with the shutdown. We got to talk about this, Riot. All right, we do see the plated steel caps rush from Galio that we talked about. Not sure whether or not we're going to get Rocket Belt, Everfrost, or Rod of Ages yet. I really, 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 really want it to be Rod of Ages into Frozen Heart. I think anything else will be leaving a lot on the table. We have a little battle for the Rift-Tailed. It does get the charge in. They get 2 plates for themselves. Getting some gold in their pocket. But meanwhile, Zeus is getting big here on Jax. Zeri trying to press to the limit here, but not a good trade there. Taking the turret shot. There we go. Bounty's back again. A little bit fickle, if you ask me. All right, so what are you looking for in these team fights if you are T1? You're going to look for recon engages. You're going to look for potentially Jax flanks, although going into side lane, totally fine as well. You'd rather have this Jax playing into the Gwen rather than the Cassante, naturally. Cassante has a very strong presence to go front to back. Kha'Zix will be a little bit out of line in this situation. It's going to be very difficult for him to find like real good usage. They might be saying that, hey, Kindred and double marksman in general can be fairly susceptible to a Kha'Zix, and that's why they're going for it, on top of just the fact that you can get early Umbral Glaive into Eclipse, and then you're basically all set. You know, we'll call it full build on Kha'Zix. Being able to control the vision and also have the good stats for the fights if they do come up. Now, Dragon's coming up in 3.5. Rift-Tailed's up in 140. So the focus will be on mid lane priority. We're going to see if we get some vision starting to move into the southern quadrant or the eastern quadrant as these teams try to set up a positional play for the Dragon. Galio holding his own up in the top lane, and it looks like we do see Everfrost is going to be the build, so I'm not a fan at all, but we'll see if he's able to make it happen. Just another button to press too, right? These guys are good, but they're not infallible. Every extra button and every extra decision tree you have to make makes the game a little bit harder. Oh, beautifully done. Bin does not get the Shadow Realm out in response to Cassante engage, so Q3 comes in, knocks Gwen to her death. And that is absolutely where you want to have Kha'Zix, right in the middle of a knock-up. You'd rather have someone like Gragas that can just blow up a fight and isolate everybody. Oh, Elk going for a play? No, just get into the wave. BLG was able to get themselves 3 wards in the river. Very shallow, not going for anything much. I expect them to continue playing as they've been doing. They haven't shown any sign of nerves. But sometimes when it sinks in that you're about to beat Faker, that is when you don't beat Faker. We've seen it multiple times already in this tournament that teams have had a lead versus T1 in a meaningful game and then just haven't been able to execute from there on out. But it's going to take a lot for T1 to win this series. Down 0-2 is quite the deficit. But they're doing okay for themselves this game. 1k in the gold lead, going to have a little bit more turret damage here. You've got Jax that's going to be favored in these side lanes all game long. And you've got the ease of execution on your team, right? Xayah, Rakan, Cassante, pretty easy to try to find these windows. Kha'Zix can also, we didn't talk about this yet, but if Cassante is going to ult someone away, and specifically maybe ult them out of a Kindred Lamb's Respite, they should also then become isolated, which should allow Kha'Zix to get some extra damage in. So they might be looking for a play like that. Not only that, but if Zaya Rakan, for example, are able to zone out with a major engage plus the feathers, then people, as they start kiting to the side, that is where Kazakhs can also be good, right? Everyone's kiting, potentially moving away from each other, and that can be his field day. But it's not quite as simple as it was with a Gragas, where you can go E evolve, Q evolve, or Q and then E, and just get those resets in the fights and just pick them all off, as we saw. I believe it was PSG earlier in the tournament they got that one. Season 13, that camp will respawn. 10 seconds later, that raptor will fall down, but Kindred got what she came for. She got her marks. I want to see the spectators hover so we can get a chance to see how many stacks she's at. Should be 4. And if they have 4, that's that major upgrade. The upgrade's happening at 4, 7, 10. 4 is usually the point where you're like, all right, I'm happy I picked Kindred. It feels pretty strong. 7 is where you say, like, okay, this is really good. This is like Sen on 100 stacks good. All right, position taken on to the Dragon, but they don't have a lead to speak of. So this is it's an interesting spot. They're saying we're stronger because we're here first. But Zeus has a good line for themselves. We'll see if BLG just goes and engages into Zeus. You see him not trying to kite or anything, just going straight away. This allows T1 to get a much better position for this fight. Now BLG's kind of pinched between these two walls. You'd much rather take the position between the Mountain Dragon wall and the blue wall and not get stuck by this Gromp wall here. So we'll see. Faker does kidnap one. It is Zun. Now the fight's going to split up. Bin is by himself, which means that they're going to go and burst him down. They're not even going to go after Faker. Faker jumps to the other side, and now they've got Zun and going for the Galio combination. But T1's going to blow up this fight. Zeus takes the early fight, the lead. They've got everything that they need in this fight. Elk is going to go down as well, although he's showing a masterclass in kiting. Holy crap, Elk. And Guma's able to clean up, and that's an ace. Very well played by T1. Mistake by BLG, in my opinion, to even be there. But secondly, to go that far into the jacks, props to Zeus for pulling them that far away. Not sure if the call was, hey, let's bait them to spread them out, but that is certainly something that is accessible to these teams. And one way that you can break a positional freeze, right? You threaten a flank with no intention of ever flanking, but with the idea that they are going to come onto you, you step back, and while you step back, your team steps up. And as long as your team communicates that and gets it done quickly, then it can have the drastic effect that we just saw. And then conversely, if you see a mistake, then you can go for that flank, you can go for that all-in. But see how far Zeus is away? He has no intent of really, really committing until right that moment, right? He's just stay away, stay away, stay away. Wait till my team has got the advantageous position on the bin. And then Faker able to get out for himself here with Q being stacked up. Nothing for the Kindred Galio combo to do for themselves. Yagao trying to flash into the spot, but it's not going to be strong enough. Polymorph slightly mistimed there by Lulu as well. Polymorphing after the Lamster Spike goes down means that the kill came in first. You'd like to see Polymorph come up at that time. Okay. Bin just getting gapped now. Uh-oh. This is spelling doom for BLG. This is the Team 1 that we came to see. This is the T1 that was dominating all season. Kasante 204 on his way to this Gargoyle Stone Plate. We've got Kazakhs on full build. Jax with Divine Sunder and working his way into that Black Cleaver most likely. And Zaya being huge with 2 completed 3,400 gold items. Has to be most gold in the game, I imagine. Yeah, highest CS by a lot on their team. Zeri has a little bit more, so we'll have to see what Zeri's up to. But again, your team got an ace. You're always going to be pretty far ahead there. Carrier being omnipresent as they do. So if you're BLG, how are you going to get out of this game? Well, we talked about proactive plays and being proactive with Kindred and Galio, which is difficult to do. They've got reactive elements to their kit, so you just have to continue pressing up and trying to mow through, and especially put pressure on this Kazakhs, who is the weakest member on the team as far as a front to back situation is considered. Now, they have gone for the W upgrade, which is what you expect in a composition like this. You're not in a full assassination. You're not just trying to isolate and get picks. You want to go Q upgrade for your farming and W upgrade to be able to create these standoffs where you still have major effects. 70% slow, not as good as 99 like it used to be, but still very strong. Now, Baron being up, let's see. First, we're going to go for Beach Vision. We'll see if they go for a deeper layer. Looks like they're going to win themselves the wards in the pit first. Here we go with Keria. You see them stepping up, right? Each time you're going a little bit deeper, but now they're out of stacks on the ward stone. So I will see if Keria goes back right now, or whether or not they just say, hey, like this is enough of a position to checkmate them, get them to come into our position. Good job by Galio trying to check the bush with there. Keria finds the engage. Only gets 2 champions, has to jump up. It's not quite enough. But now they've overstepped, which means Bin's going to get a 3-man stun, but doesn't because Yagao incidentally hits them with the backside of the E. But Lamb's Respite having to be used completely defensively. And now Galio ult as well means that T1 is just going to clean up this entire fight. Keep going forward, guys. No, it's not even. They get the one on the side. The kidnap, they're able to take it back to Cassandra. He was never able to get the all-out off. If he gets that, they would have wiped that fight entirely. But instead, BLG can actually be very, very, very happy with the outcome there. Could have been tremendously worse. They're down 3.5k and 3 dragons. And they had the lesser position there. Very hard to play as Zeri right there. You know, you're against this wall. You do want to help with the team on this damage. He wants to keep the auto attack stacked up. And let's see, we've got the angle from Faker. They see the ward, so they see him come in. Misses Q3. No, we did have all out. Interesting. Okay, I don't know why I saw it off of cooldown. But it goes too far away from the team. The team's trying to consolidate back. Big mistake by Faker. My eyes were definitely on the other side of the red pit, looking at the interactions with Galio and Jax. I did not see that from Cassante, but yeah, no, definitely not what you want. You'd much rather have someone going right to left than down to up. Bottom to top, as it were. And they make him punish. BLG just consolidate. They say, oh, okay, we were in like full retreat mode trying to get Yagao out of that bad situation, and instead we were able to turn it into retreat and kill Faker at the same time. So definitely a good trade for them. That being said, T1 still has a tremendous advantage, especially in the form of this Xayah. They're always going to have the pushing lead. Zeri going for Runon's Hurricane, something to counteract the pushing ability of Xayah. Now Faker very, very strong in this spot. Owner going for the... You don't see this very often. Jungler not being the one in the pit, but saying, hey, this is what we've got the W of all for. They gets taunted just ever so slowly, or too late, I should say. Oh, I would have liked to see Owner just flash in there. Owner deciding to walk around. If Owner flashes in, maybe they take this whole fight, but they say, you know what, this is strong enough. We've got a huge HP lead, 70% down on two of the champions there, and another 2 that have lost a quarter. It means that we can go into the pit and get something for ourselves. Kindred picking up red buff, and we've got a teleport to come back into the fight. So Galio coming in. We've got the Lamb's Respite. Now remember, Lamb's Respite can keep Baron alive, but not if you get pushed against a wall. Faker jumping out of the pit and taking the Kindred for a ride to make sure that the team gets the Baron buff. You are always willing to spend one person to get the buff. And that has sort of become Faker's role on this team, right? These other players, I don't want to say that they're better than him, but seem to have more mechanical prowess at this level in their career. Faker has become a facilitator, not just that, but also just the role mid, right? Having 1 less gold for all those minions in mid-wave means a very difficult spot. Now, Guma has overstepped slightly. Is it a bait? Nothing. They cannot pull the trigger. This is 4v5, everybody, and they're still pressing up with that kind of advantage. If I'm BLG there, I'm calling for the all-in. You have to make that play and try your best to make it happen, because if the respawns come in, if the recalls come in, then you're dealing with a gold deficit and Baron. You're not going to get a better situation for yourself than a 5v4, even if it is Guma on Xayah with tons of gold in pocket. Kindred, nice little dash to get to the other side of the fight. Keria trying to keep the Cassante alive long enough, but does not work, but it did its job. And on the wheel side of that, they also get the dragon. So Soul is up. T1 with a lead, gold lead, 6K, Baron buff, and Dragon Soul. This game is in checkmate, so let's just see their technique for finishing the game here. They're going to put Kha'Zix in middle. This makes sense because they want him to come around and shoot the void spikes from distance. We see Keria taking a little bit of aggro, jumping out. Faker also happy to just play this front to back. Kha'Zix keeping the Baron buffs on this mid wave, and they will start to whittle it down. Next time in, they may commit for this turret here. Saying they've got the wave. Let's see if they go for damage onto Zuna or if they go damage onto the turret. You do have double AD, which is a little bit better than average for being able to clear these waves. But you're always risking, right? Always risking the fact that they might come in. The option is not to dive. They're keeping Kha'Zix out on the side. They're saying, you know, this is still good for us. We'll be able to get it with the cannon wave. Now that we're past 25 minutes, every wave is going to have a cannon in it. Look at this. Owner gaining a health lead versus Bin. Just on the virtue of the W, keeping him topped up, healed up, multiple spikes going out. But you see what happens. Bin gets one little engage. Now Elk is going after him, but Kha'Zix is so very safe in that situation. Using W to heal himself back up, is able to hop away and go invisible if needed. They've got 13 seconds left on the Baron, which means that they take their recalls. They're going to spend their money. And now they've amassed a 7,500 gold lead. No mark available for Kindred, at least not yet. And it's going to be very hard for Kindred to get any marks the rest of this game. Now, this is actually something that you can do against Kindred players in these games. You want to leave one camp up far away from everything. Usually you do it with the Wolf camp, but you can do it with Krugs or Gromp as well. Where you say, all right, we're just going to leave this up to make sure that the spawn is always as deep and far away from the action as possible, so that when they get it, the mark will be there. If they get lucky, then it... I don't even want to say lucky. If you clear all of the camps, then the mark will spawn, and it will spawn on their side of the map or on the major objective if it comes up. So to combat that as Kindred, you can always just leave your wolves open. They're not that important. They're not worth that much gold. So you just leave it there, and you say, okay, like if they fumble ever, this can be a free stack. If you're at 6, right, 1 or 9, and you're 1 away from that big break point, that can definitely come up. We'll still try to keep our eyes peeled for the Kindred to see how many stacks they're actually on. But here we go. Elder is coming up. 38 seconds. Owner taking this position upwards is going to use the W. Now, Umbral Glaive being proc. Did it not proc despite that ward being on his face? No, it did. Okay. No, it didn't. It just procced right now. Okay, so owner getting potentially a little bit lucky there, getting those extra wards down because it didn't pop right away, which I'm very surprised it didn't pop right away. I know the game gives you a moment to try to kill those wards, but there's no way that he got out and got out of vision. All right, T1's technique, they're going to go for push up in mid. If they see any missteps, like for example, Galio being too far away, then they might go up and aggress, but they have to be careful. You can't really take any 4v4 here with the Galio being the one in the side lane because Galio can rejoin these fights. I'd like to see BLG press forward. You have to try to make a play happen, and this is not it because now you're going to get everyone onto Elk. He's trying to engage everything. Galio jumps into the middle of the fight. They do a little camera on camera to try to escape, and Elk somehow survives. How is Elk staying alive in these fights? It is incredible the amount of self-peel that this guy has for himself. How quickly he's on with those auto resets. But that's it. Zeri not able to get everything for the team. Played exceptionally well. Used the Immortal Shield Bow to stay alive. But they still have 2 deaths. T1 still expanding on their gold lead, and you see the shields coming back up. So all the work that you did to chew through those shields is not there. Now, it's worth mentioning Zeri passive versus Mountain Soul, one of the best or most fortuitous situations you can be in, where Zeri basically has a Mountain Soul for herself as well. She's going to be chewing into those shields and getting a large portion of the damage that she deals as shielding herself. So keep an eye on that. If BLG is able to come back, it's going to be on the back of Zeri self-kiting. But now, right now, no ultimate, no flash, no ghost. So you have a 2-minute window here with Elder up and Zeri not having the self-peeling resources. Not only that, but you don't have flash or heal from Lulu. You only have Shirelia's, and it doesn't look like she's even going towards the Mikhails, which is a little bit surprising based on the fact that you've got Cassante and Jax here. And even Rakan to an extent. If you get a perfectly timed Mikhail's Blessing, you can actually get them out of the charm so that they can escape the knock-up as well. Wondering if we're going to go for like Staff of Flowing Water or Ardent Censer from this position. Wouldn't mind seeing Ardent Censer as you have, Kindred having extra access, but you're not giving AoE heals, right? You have single target, so you're really only getting one person on your team with the majority of these buffs. I don't expect that there's Font of Life or anything like that could spread out the buffs to everybody else. 3-1-1, Cassante in the middle. Guma, as far north on the map as you'll ever see an AD carry, right? You take this upward position because it's forcing the most amount of people to the side lanes. It's also forcing potentially a situation where Galio has to try to commit to one of these lanes, and then you can take the other two. BLG's got to pull the trigger on something here. But it's so hard. Like, what tool do you have to actually pull a trigger? Gwen doesn't have it. Kindred doesn't. There's no one. This is a peel back 4-1 split with Gwen, but Gwen's not actually stronger than the Jax. I don't see anything. I mean, really, this game might have been lost in the draft. I just don't see what this team is supposed to do. And I just really don't want teams to pick Galio Kindred together. All right, T1 pressing up. They've got all three inhibitors. They don't need to end the game right now, but they probably want to show off their strength. Even if they lost here, you still have triple, this double stacked supers coming in at every angle. Kindred all saving versus the burn here. They're going to step on the edge, but now you've got all the damage. Everyone comes up, and it's like popcorn. Everybody falls, pops, and T1 ends the game. GG.